Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the delay in doing this again. One of the reasons is I have been interviewing and securing another position as part of my day job. So I'm still going to be doing software development, but I'm going to be doing it for a different company, which is a good thing for us. Helps my family out. So let's get right back into it. Okay. We've been working on some database stuff, and more specifically, some configuration. So at the moment, what I'm doing is I have this, to cast our mind back, so I have this configuration uh, library, which I want to store all my configuration items in, and I have, let's have a look here. So yeah, we have an interface that we called iConfiguration. We're getting a value. We're also having a get and decrypt config value. Now, the reason for this is I have stored all of my particular things encrypted here. The reason for that is it's a bit of security. If someone was able to read this file directly from the server, for example, then it makes it a bit difficult for them to decrypt it. Even though the encryption key is here, you don't know what the method, and there are some other bits in there as well, which are not exposed by here. And essentially what I have is I have the ability to, where am I looking for here? I have the ability to decrypt the particular, so I can decrypt the config value. I have a library here that that does this, and in the end we get all this stuff out. I have some unit tests here that cover this, and basically what we are doing is we are getting this stuff out, and we check that we are successfully decrypting the string here. And if we run all of these tests, we can confirm that everything is working as expected. Yeah, and so this is what we've got here. You got the configuration items that we pull out. We also create a connection string builder, so we are successfully building a valid connection string from these items. And yes, we're storing it locally for the time being. So that's where we are at. Now, I want to use something that is called the repository pattern. And essentially what I have here is I want to be able to, instead of going through, if we look at the data set, instead of going through and using a data access layer directly. So for example, I'm going to be implementing this using the Dapper third-party library, which is a real performant ORM. It's a very simple ORM. Unlike Entity Framework, which is more, more feature complete, but Entity Framework does come with significant overhead in terms of setting up databases, in terms of you can do what's called code first, where you essentially you do something like this. We create our code structures which represent entities in our database, and then we go and say to the data model, go and use this. We can do things like data migrations with it, where we add, so we go along and add stuff, but that's all done through the command line and things like that. And it's just, it's just a lot of overhead. It's a lot of boilerplate to get stuff up and running. Whereas Dapper is very much, it's very simple. We have to write SQL statements with it, which is okay. With some other ORMs. I'm just going to see a light here so you can see me a bit better. With some other ORMs, you don't have to do SQL directly. You can do everything. Everything gets taken care of for you. But yeah, you have some, you can, have some issues with that. You can, because you're not in control of it, it's easy to try and, I often get database administrator guys going, can we have the SQL that's generated from this group of entity framework statements? And then you have to go and figure out how that is and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is we are going to maintain this layer. So we're going to have the database layer, which is going to be specifically implemented using Dapper, and then we're going to have like a business object layer, which we're going to deal with higher level objects. So we're going to put a layer of isolation between getting stuff from the database and then handing it upstream to whatever we're dealing with. Put some protection over that. So within ORM systems, if you generally, for example, Entity Framework, if you pass up the database object itself, if you modify that, then those modifications can find themselves being written into the database if people don't know what they want to do. We also want caching. So the idea is that when you update some data into the database, that data is not only written to the database, it's also written into the cache, which is held in memory. When we do reads, we want to be reading from the cache first. So, if a user logs in, we may load up and store that user information inside the cache. So if we then have to go and refer to it again, we already have it in memory. Some things we might not cache, because obviously depending on where, on how big they are. We may want the world, the data that's associated with the world that we're in as we move around the maps and stuff like that to be held in memory, because obviously that will be a lot faster access. Also, we might have a system where we have a cache of things that are pending to be written, and so what we do is we would write that to another memory area as well as the kind of database cache, and then we might have a thread that every couple of minutes takes all of those outstanding things that need to be written and then just stream them out to the database. We might do that. But yeah, so we want to have this kind of separation, and that's why we have this repository. So if I look here at our Dapper user repository, we're going to say we're going to be dealing with this guy, the DB user, which is going to be fine. And we want to inject some things. We know we're going to need the configuration. We're going to need we want the connection string builder, and we also want the cache. That's great. The base class of this, takes this stuff. We save these things, and then we have this add. These are specific. We want to add a record, and I believe, yeah, we put them in here. That's right. So what we can do immediately is, if we're going to say this is an abstract, what we can say is we can say these are abstract. These are abstract, so they have to be implemented by the thing that inherits from this. And this is a way of forcing, basically using both inheritance and interfaces. So basically, this guy isn't going to know anything. No. The beauty with this is, let's get this building. Let's build again. Okay, great. We now have a build error because we have now pushed the implementation of this interface up the inheritance tree. So we have to implement it in the child class. And that's what we do here. If we just do the simple stuff like that, I'm going to build that again. And we can see we're now building, and our unit test is still going to run because we haven't anything. But we can see now that we're now taking this record. So we don't know how to add. The base class doesn't know how to add anything. But what might be nice is we definitely have a Dapper table. We want this Dapper table. 1 second. I'm just. what are we doing here? I'm just having a quick look. We want this to use, we are going to be using the Dapper extensions. Now, a viewer successfully, rightly said, hey, you know, there's a warning over this. And what does that mean? So basically, this means that this particular library, version 1.63 of Dapper extensions, is not specifically compatible with .NET 5. That isn't a problem because .NET 5 can use, here we go, can use .NET Framework libraries, which is fine. There is an outstanding issue that the author of Dapper extensions knows, and they are currently working on it. So I am looking at the extensions that we have. Just looking at the documentation for this. Let's have a look at the having a quick look because it's been a while since I have done this. Right. Okay, so what we might want to do is we don't actually have this, but what we might want to have is inside our, let's have a look what we've got. Okay, so we have a Dapper table here. Okay, that's cool. So what we want to do is, you know, being a bit disjointed here, apologies for that. What I would like is, I'm looking down this list here of things that we need to implement as a repository. And some of these things are going to be quite generic. Other ones are going to be quite table specific. In this case, the add is going to be table specific, but the any isn't going to be. And certainly the count can be generic as well. Delete by record, delete by ID might not be. Might be generic, might not be. Select, well, we need to add some parameters to it. Update is going to be specific, and where is going to be specific as well. So it would be nice to come in here and actually say, okay, let's work on the any. So we can come in here and we're just going to go throw new not imp. So this is just if we throw an exception here, it will compile. And then what we can do is we can take it out of here because now we say, hey, you know, we're going to override it, but we don't, you know, do we specifically want to override it? Was that intentional that we overrode it, even though it's implemented in the base class, which is why it came up as red? You can do that, but you have to add the new keyword. So in this case, you would add, I think it's, no, not there. Public override. I think it's here. And, oh, no, sorry, because it's implemented. Anyway. Okay. No, we will do that properly. I'll show you guys public will any. This is something that I have forgotten to do. It is that one. There we go. No, not new. There we go. See, what we're doing here is we're saying this version of any is completely different to this version of any. We don't want to do that. We don't want to have it anyway. So that's how you could do that. Okay. Let's write a unit test for that. So we're coming to the database, we're coming into repository tests. So great, user repo is here, and we should say public void should return, should TUR any. It is a test, And we're going to say var user repo. We're going to spin that up. And we're going to say assert is true user repo.any. Right. Okay. Now we can do something called mocks, which we will come on to later, where what we can do is we can mock up something here, which we might do here. So basically, we want to run this test. We should get a failure because it doesn't return anything. And we're going to get a failure. Should return any because it's not implemented. Right, we could test that real quick by going return true. And if I run that again, it will now pass, but that is not entirely useful. Yeah, that's not entirely useful because that just shows that we're calling the right thing on the base class. Okay, cool. Right. I need to remember. Right, what we want to do is we want to use something called a attribute. Now, here we go. So, let's come up here to our base class. Let's say add a new folder because we might have several attributes, and we probably will. Attributes are things that decorate classes, and I'll show you how that works. Class, and we're going to say, we're going to call this Dapper Table Attribute. Yep, it's going to be a public class, and we're not going to inherit from it, so it's going to be sealed. But it will inherit from system.attribute. Okay, and we're just going to have some things that say use attribute using attribute. What does that do? Yes, okay. So this attribute usage, it defines how this attribute is going to be. So attribute targets, we don't want all, we want it to exist on a class. And we're going to also say we want it to have a name. So we're going to say public string name equals, nope, get and set. Yeah. And we're going to have a constructor. Just having a look. Yep, that's what we want. I'm referring to documentation on my other screen here as well because, you know, it's been a while since I've used this in Anger. So we want name here. And actually, we don't want that name. Let's have it more descriptive. Yeah, let's get table name here. Let's refactor this to table name. Okay. Get rid of these guys that aren't being used. Let's still build. Yep, we're building. Great. How do we use this? Very easy. What we want to do here, we want to come down here, and we want to say Dapper Table. Yeah, we're going to do that. And it's going to say, well, I don't know how to do this. We don't know it. But we use core data attributes, which is what we want. And we're going to say users, I believe. Let's fire up my local copy of Visual Studio. No, it's Visual Studio. SQL Management Server. Yay. Come on. Slow. I haven't run this for a while. Okay, while that's firing up, we can come back to that. Right. We can see that this is basically just a default implementation of something. Okay, how do we use this? Right. We also need to come over here. 1 second. Okay. Okay. So we need to know that it's going to be, yes, thank you. T is a dapper table. Now, can we, okay. No, that's fine. I am just getting it clear in my head on what I need to do here. Right, so if we go back to our attributes, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add another class, because this is where we're going to want to get stuff. Attribute, and we're going to call this attribute helper, and we're actually going to have this as dapper attribute helper. Okay, and public sealed. Right, because remember, we write unit tests for everything, so we're going to come down here and we're going to write, let's add a new one called, let's call it system, because this kind of system, and we're going to have new class. We're going to say, we're going to give this attribute tests, and again, it's going to be, we'll just copy basic stuff from here. Text fixture, it's a public class, it's a sealed class, it uses NUnit, it inherits from base, base unit test. Format, we want a test, void, get dapper table attribute test. Okay, here we go. So we're going to say var db user equals new db underscore user, because that's what we want. That's what we're testing. Yep, cool, awesome. And we're going to say var attribute equals dapper. Let's write what we want first in here. We want public static dapper table attribute get table attribute. Yep, and we're just going to say return null. That's going to compile. Come back to our new attribute tests. We're going to say dapper attribute helper. Yes, doesn't exist. Yeah, eating corn. Yep. Dot get table attribute. We are going to pass in the DB user, and DB user is a dapper table. That's fine. Come back to attribute helper. We're going to be passing in a table. What do we call it? Table. Oh, no, cool. That's good because we're in the core. Core is all in here. Great. And here it is. So we're at the right place. It's good fun when you forget what namespaces you put your stuff in. Great. Dapper table. That's fine. That passes null. We come here. Come down to our unit test again. Attribute test. And we're going to say assert is not null. Attribute. Assert dot that attrib is what do we say? Dapper. I think that's how we do that. Yeah, and then we're going to say assert that Dapper table attribute. Oh, we get that right. Yeah, we get that. We're gonna have to do a cast. Oh, table name equals users. And it has actually called that within inside my database. Awesome. That's great. We should do this. Insert that article. Okay. Okay, cool. Right, so hotkey to remove usings is Control R and G at the same time. Great. Now we can let's build it. So we now have a new test detected. And if we run all the tests, we get a failure. So we now have 2 failures. But that's fine because this test relies on this test. And that is totally fine. So let's fix this test. And this is how you do test-driven development. What you do is you create the test before you actually write the code, and you have the minimum amount of code to get the test to run, and then you get it to fail to begin with, and then what you do is you go and actually make it so it doesn't fail. And that's how you do test-driven development. So what we need to do is I need to go back and have a quick look at how to do this. So one of the things as you progress in software development is you kind of know what you want to do, but sometimes you might not remember the exact implementation on how to do it because you may only implement it, say, once every 3 or 4 months or something like that. Or you implement it once and then you come back and refer to it. And that's what I'm doing here. I know what I want to do. I know what the structures I need to do in order to achieve what I want to achieve. And it says because I haven't written class attributes for I haven't written a class attribute for 6 months or then got it, then I have to, it's perfectly fine to go back and actually think about how we are going to do this. All right, so we have a table, and what we're going to do is we're going to say we want to get the custom attributes from that table dot get, not hash code. We're going to get the type, and then we're going to say get custom attributes. Okay. All right, and what's this? We now have bool inherit. Do we want to get the ones that we've inherited? We don't want to get the ones that we've inherited because we know that we're top level object. Right. And what we could do is we can actually put a breakpoint here, and we can debug this, debug the unit test, so you can actually see what we're actually getting, which is kind of nice. Sometimes this helps as you're going, am I on the right track? So our table is a DB user. That's great. Our custom attributes is 1, and that is our table test attribute. That's great. So we want to say if custom attributes dot any, maybe does it have a, okay, so yeah, let's do so. Any is a link shortcut, and it uses an iterator to do it. So there's some performance, it has to set things up. If you're working with lists and arrays, then it is more performant to use the native length or count properties to see if your collection is actually contains some data. So that's why I didn't use any here. So we say if it's greater than 0, then we're going to say return custom attributes dot first or default. Now first or default basically means get me the first one or return null. Okay, great. yes, I am missing a cast. I need. We need a Dapper table attribute. That's what we want. Okay. Why is it still complaining? Object doesn't contain this. All right, fine. Fine. We'll do a cast. And it's going to go, oh, we're fine. Great, cool. Okay, what this does is this basically says this is a list of objects. We're going to say, give me the first item. Yes. We get an object. We're going to cast it to a Dapper table thing. If it's null, then you cast null as null, so this won't fail. What we can do is we can do stuff like we can take, sorry, I won't point at the screen. I'll highlight the stuff. We can take this and turn it into something a little bit smaller. So we can say return custom attributes. So we're going to do is a shortcut, syntactic shortcut for this if. So we're going to say if it's greater than 0, if we have something, then we're going to say right. Then what we want to do is we want to go return this is or null. And why is that there? Okay, no, we're good. And we can get rid of that guy there. Visual Studio is complaining. Right, now what we can do is let's build that. See, it's failing. Visual Studio is nice to tell us it's failing. We've built. Let's run. And this test should now pass. And it passes. Hooray. That's great. Cool. Next up. Now we need to fix this unit test. And that's fine. So, should return any. Okay. What do we want it to do here? Well, actually, what we want it to do is we want to come down here and we're going to say, right, what we're going to need. We're going to do some implementation. Now, I'm thinking that was something else I wanted to do. We have a generic repository here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, we have a generic repository which we are doing these things, these objects. And we have a user repository and we want here we go. Not completely, okay. I'm thinking I've got things the wrong way. No, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, okay, right, okay, yes. It's been a while since I've come back to this project because of, various things that have been going on. It's been about a month actually. Okay, so we're gonna so this here we're gonna be mapping from our business object to our database object. We don't need to do anything like that, right? We're just messing around with the actual. This is the database layer. This is not the layer above that. That's fine. Yeah, great, cool. So this is perfectly fine to implement it here. So what we need to do is we need to get the table the table attribute. So that's what we want. Our table attribute equals. Now, this is going to be T. We need to change this a little bit. That's fine. Maybe. Dapper Dapper attribute helper. Yep. Don't get attribute. Hopefully that'll work. T is a type, right? Okay, yeah, that's right. I want us to be able to create a new thing from that. So if we go var new, naming can be quite difficult to me. So let's say object of t equals new t. That should be fine. Object of t, because we know it's a Dapper table. Yeah, we know that is a Dapper table. That's fine. And then we say var SQL is going to be, oh no, we're going to have select count star from, and then we're going to go here, and then we're going to say table attribute dot table name. Okay. Now I want to write something. Connection factory. Yeah, we do need a connection factory. We're going to write something else. We're going to say, we're going to do some refactoring here. So we're going to say var. I'm going to write var in a minute. Right. Query data. That's what we want to look at. We're looking at this particular. I'm looking at an example of how to do that. Right. Okay. Here we go. We want var. Oh, no, we don't. So, var db. I need a new SQL connection. Excuse me. Okay, so using in this particular fashion here. Oh, did that work? Yeah, okay, so what this does, so if we look at this, if we go and have a look at this, and explain using real quick. I cover this in my C# lessons, but we have a DB connection, and the DB connection is disposable. And what that does is the using statement says when this goes out of scope, which will happen here, it will automatically call dispose on the thing that is in the using statement that has a iDisposable interface. Let's go in here. Is it that way? Yeah. Okay. Now I need my connection string builder, and we can say create connection string. Ooh, right. Okay. Let's have a look at the unit test. So we had connection string builder tests, and we don't want that. See, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like that because it's a heap of work, isn't it? It's a heap of work. Okay, fine. I'm itchy tonight. Okay, so connection string builder. Let's have a look. Connection string builder. Yeah, it'll do all that. But we have the mud configuration, and the mud configuration knows everything. And we have the configuration service. How about I could put it here, inside here. We have some helpers. Let's put it. Let's add a new folder. I like, I like putting stuff inside things. Class, and we're going to say connection string helper. Yeah, we're going to do that. Add. Helper or builder? Helper or builder? Helper or builder? Already got a connection string builder. Connection string builder. Takes that. That's crap. I don't want to do that. This is what happens when I program live. Okay, let's put a new interface. So the reason I'm struggling a little bit with where to put stuff is because I'd like to use. No, it's fine. We don't need it. We don't need this. Okay, so what we do need. Sorry. I want to use dependency injection, which is totally fine. There are two ways of using dependency injection. What's this? Don't know. So one way is to do. Let's have a look. One way is to do. Let's find something. Find a higher level thing. Yes, is to do it this way, where we inject our dependencies on the constructor, which is fine. It's a real common way of doing it. But what we need to know is that the Dapper user repository also has to be known to the dependency injection container. Otherwise, it won't know how to. It won't build this properly. And I believe I did that. We have a bunch of stuff. Okay. That's interesting. See, now I've gone down this rabbit hole of, yes, we've done it here. No, that's fine. Let's have a quick look, find out where these things are, because I have forgotten. No, no. Does it pick up the scanner? Does it pick up it via the scanner? Mud? I can't remember. No, that's unit test. We're here. It must pick it up from the scanner. And there's my phone going, hello. My friends want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to my friends right now. Off. Okay, turn the Wi-Fi back on. Okay. Come here. See, we're putting stuff in. I'm pretty sure it uses a scanner to pick it up. But that's a rabbit hole that I've gone down, and I apologize. Okay. Anyway. What was I doing? No, it's fine. Okay. So what I don't want to do here is I don't want to have to go, server, blah, blah. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want a simple one-line function that allows me to get the connection string. That's what I was working on. And this is what we're going to do here. Now, and then I got down the rabbit hole of dependency injection and where did the user repository happen. That's fine. That can happen sometimes. But what we want is we want something along this. So we're going to go public static connection. Where's the connection string builder? See, it's fine. I have all this stuff. Okay, it's a string. Awesome. Public static string get connection string, and that's it. We're just going to have that, and that's fine. And then we need to say var. Basically, what we're going to do is we are going to do this here. We're going to pull this out like so. We're going to do that. I'm going to replace it with this. I'm going to replace all of this with this. Now, we need Yeah, well, this is a helper function, but this is also used. No, it's just used here. That's fine. We can change it to static. We don't need the. That's fine. That's fine. What we can do now, we can change. We can say. So let's get the configuration. iConfig equals ioc.of imod configuration. That'll get that. Yeah, come on. Good. Now that it's fixed. Keep your Visual Studio up to date and it'll all work. What's going on? This says, no, I don't want to generate new type. Let's go back here. That one. That one. Okay. Awesome config. And we'll say better names. Enum helper. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Get and decrypt. We want mud configuration. Conf. No, misspelled that. Go there. Go there. Go there. Yeah. Go there. What we're doing is just doing. And we could do IOC. Let's go back here. I know we're doing a lot of weird stuff. Please don't hate me. Okay. Awesome. A lot of angle brackets, a lot of long things, right? And then we're going to say, actually, we're just going to go return. Okay, so what we have here is we have a new class that just has a static thing called connection. Connection string, all it does is it reads from this. Let us improve. Oh, no, let's not improve this just yet. We can make so we're going to come here to connection string builder, and we're going to go. So we need this. So we're going to go. We don't need that. What we'll do is we'll say var replace this test with connection string. We need it. Doesn't. Where is that? It is over here. That one. Dot. Nope. Okay, we can run this test now to verify that we haven't broken anything once we've cleaned the file up. Run the test. Oh, red. Okay. No, we don't want to run that. We have some syntax errors. Valid term. Okay, yep. Let's just do that. Let's get rid of that. 1, 1, 2. Will that build? No. More syntax errors. Nodal. Okay, yeah. Let's say. Okay, great. Now we can come back here and let's run the tests again. And the tests that we're looking for is the connection string tests. And they're up here. Yep, and we're all good here. So we've got that. That's great. Now, knowing that this test is here, and what we can do is we can say, let's create some lazy loaded stuff. Now the thing with lazy stuff, so the situation with this is that this is going to be used a lot of time. We're going to call this every time we want to open connection to the database, which means every time we do that, we're going to go and read a value from the configuration item, and then we're going to decrypt it. And that, why would we do that? So let's create let's create some stuff. Okay, so what we want a private static. In fact, we'll just create this to be a static class. Yeah, we don't need to be. So static class has no this pointer. You can't go new connection string. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to say static string server. And what we're going to do is we're going to set that, and initialize that to null. And we need username, hostname, password. So underscore server, underscore user name, name, underscore password, underscore database name. Now, what we can say if server equals null or username equals null or password equals equals null or database name equals null, then go and load and read them. Yeah, so we get the configuration, we get that, we get that, we get that, that. I'll just put underscore, 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 underscore. Right, awesome. Okay, what time are we on? Okay, a few more minutes because then we'll hit an hour. Okay, awesome. Great, let's build that. All builds. And let's run the connection string builder tests again. We have failure. Uh-oh. So we broke this somehow. How do we break this? We say value cannot be null. Oh. In the connection string. Well, let's put a debug. Let's debug that. Debug the test. Where did we go wrong? Where did my logic fail? Step in. Right. Server null. Okay. Come in. Configuration. Great. Server. Great. Okay, so we're reading stuff. Yeah. The database name. Database name is null. That is interesting. But we created this. Okay. Original. Oh! Do you see why? Do you see why? Do you see why? Because I'm declaring these as var server underscore server, which means server, this is local to this block. So when I come out of this block, when I come to the return, this evaporates and is no longer exists, and that's why we're coming to here. Move the vars. Okay. Let's run that again. There we go. Unit test passed. All right. Great. A lot of work. Let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of him. We don't need him. We need him. Okay, so now we can say connection string What did I call the class? I've forgotten. Can I string helper dot get? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Get connection string. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now we're gonna go var num records equal oh, num records equals db connect dot execute. Oh no, we want query dot query. Actually, what we want to do is we're going to say select top one. Yeah. What does top one do? Select top one star. Basically, it returns the first record. We're going to get that. What's going on here? Using Dapper. There we go. Whew. All right. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, cool. And then we're going to say return. Yeah, no. Yeah, we can do it up here. We say var num records equals 0. And then we can say num records equals there. And then we can say return num records greater than 0. Dot to list. Dot count. Dot length. No? What? There it is. That's what we're doing. Okay, cool. Build. And this does a lot of things, right? Should run. It's going to run. No. Expected true, but was false. Yes, that is very true. It is indeed false. Why is it false, you might ask? Because there are no records in the table. That's why. Right. So we could do something really pants, but what I will do is I will modify the database because I don't want to get involved in writing test data right now. What I will do is we'll modify the database table right now. And I will go away and I will look at how to use mock with the. Oh, come on, multiple screens. Can't see the title bar. What we'll do here is we'll say insert into users, comma values, and I believe we want login. We might call it. We'll just star. Password hash, nothing. Last login get TC date. A couple times. What is that? One. Password hash. Columns. Yeah, that's fine. Last seen. What's the ID? Let's put 1. Might not have identity insert. We might get is logged on. No. Created today. Modified. Is deleted. Nope. Status 1. Next allowed login. That one. minute. I need to know if I... Yeah, we're going to need all this stuff. There we go. Insert into user's ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Just stop. And does it want that? Yes, it does, because I'm an idiot. Okay. Boom. Hiss. Hiss, hiss, hiss. This SQL Server for you. But I should know this. Come on. Let's get this working. All right, one row affected. Select from the database, one row. Awesome. Let's get rid of him. No, I don't need to save this. We will. This is okay. Run this. We should return true. Number of records should be greater than 1. It doesn't. Oh, hello. The method of operation is not implemented. Oh, error parsing column. ID. Oh, of course. Okay. Yes. So what we have here is we have a bit of a problem because let's get back to here. We have this guy and this guy's here. So what we need to do is we need to say, no, we don't just get and set. Yeah. Get and set. I believe that will work. And is it going to run? Yeah, it's going to run. But we're only pulling back the ID because we're not populating the rest of the fields here. Okay. So what have we achieved today? We have achieved the ability, close all these tabs. What have we created? We have created class attributes. We have created a helper function to read those class attributes. We have created a connection string helper function. We've done some helper classes basically. We've also written some unit tests. We are also now talking directly to the database, real database, SQL server, reading real data from that database. That's a great place to put it. We've got a bunch of other stuff here. We have all of these to do. The count is really easy to implement. Instead of just doing, so instead of basically saying return the number of records, what we're doing is we're actually just going to return the number of records. And what we can do is we can take this code here and we can put it in count, and then this becomes returns count greater than 0, which we can do next time. I'll probably do that anyway. I want to refresh my memory on if I can mock query, because then if I can, then that's great. Then for test data, we don't actually have to add it to the database. We can create it. We can mock it up in our unit test, which is a really great way of testing database stuff. Okay, so next time we will write more of our database interface, database layer, and we will start to work on actually taking that we have a generic user repository up here. So we have a higher level user repository, which is basically what we'll do is we will say, right, user repository, I want to create a new user, and I will pass in a user, and a user will be a mapped object. We can add an ID, name, all that kind of stuff. It's separated from the database layer. What will happen is when we go new, we will then map it to a brand new database object. We will then write it into the database, and we can then update this with the ID, and that'll be cool. Because at that point, we can then start to say, okay, we can then take, we can then pause on the database once we have users going in. Then we can work on some socket stuff, so we can actually create a Telnet session to this and log in as a user that is in the database. So good stuff. Thanks for sticking by this. It'd be great if you've enjoyed this and want to continue with this to subscribe. That'd be great. Add comments if you want me to go and cover anything. If there's anything you feel I went too fast on, then that'd be great as well. Also, continuing with the C# course as well. So again, thanks for watching and have a great day.